Welcome back to Stacy Washington Now at the Salem News Channel. Kevin McCullough, very thrilled to sit in for Stacy tonight. Hope she's enjoying the night off, and I hope that you will stay with us because I believe she'll be back maybe tomorrow. Anyway, we've got a lot more to cover, and we're still talking about the Iranian Israel conflict, which I think started long before October 7th, and I think all of the October 7th and since activity from all of the proxies are all on the Ayatollahs. It's all them. They're doing all the bad things. And a lot of people are starting to ask the question, should the president of the United States get involved? Should we be dropping the 30,000-pound bunker buster? And I told you my thoughts on that in the opening segment. But joining me now to discuss what comes next in these kind of delicate games of negotiation is Marty Latz, founder of Latz Negotiation, and he knows a thing or two about how to negotiate. Marty, it's good to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Let's talk about, let's take a look at this clip, and then I want to come back and drill you down on negotiation, because I think Trump's already in the negotiation. He just hasn't announced it yet. Take a look at this.
He said I was going back home to make a ceasefire. Not a ceasefire. We're long beyond ceasefire. And I said, why do you say that? Why would you say ceasefire? It's a bad term to use. Because a ceasefire means like everything's going swimmingly, we'll take a little time off. It's not. We're not looking for a ceasefire. We're looking for a total, complete victory. Again, you know what the victory is. No nuclear weapon.
Mr. President.
So
I thought it was a very badly worded statement by him, and obviously I let him know that.
Yeah, so the idea that that we're going to do a ceasefire in Iran and Israel is kind of ridiculous, and Macron kind of had to take his smarts for that. But Marty Latz of Latz Negotiation, the president, before he's even in the conversation formally, so he's not one of the powers that's currently, sending out airplanes or firing missiles each night in this back and forth. But he is playing an outsized role in what that conversation looks like right now, is he not?
That's absolutely correct, Kevin. The United States has a very powerful role to have in this particular conflict because we have extraordinarily strong leverage with Iran, but we also have very strong leverage with Israel. So there's an opportunity here to accomplish our goals because we've got the power with both parties that are obviously engaged in a pretty difficult war.
Well, when you're talking about negotiating, and whether it's in the boardroom or whether it's a parent to a child or whether it's two countries that are at war with each other, the use of the leverage that you have is always rather important. My 15-year-old is more likely to obey me if I threaten to take away his laptop for the weekend because he doesn't want to lose the opportunity to play his Geometry Dash or whatever it is he's playing all weekend long. At the end of the day, this president doesn't really make a lot of offers. And even in his announcements earlier today, he was like, yeah, we're well past any of that. He said they've had 60 days and they did nothing. What does that tell you as a negotiator in terms of where his mind is at this moment in this kind of delicate cycle?
Kevin, I've studied President Trump's negotiations and his negotiations in business, his over 40 plus years of negotiations.
Had a few.
And there's one very clear lesson from that history is that he really does have a very clear understanding of leverage. So whether he puts an offer on the table or not, he understands, as you rightly point out, that his leverage derives from what the parties are going to do if they don't do a deal. And right now, his leverage is actually increasing, it's strengthening because Israel is in the process of debilitating Iran's capabilities on the military front as well as on an economic front. So instead of a ceasefire, it makes a lot of sense for President Trump to say, look, we're going to try to get a deal at the same time that this conflict is percolating or obviously escalating in a lot of ways.
Do you think that he would be likely to accept a deal? He openly kind of mentioned that the Iranians have asked for an audience at the White House. And I'm just telling you my gut feeling, there's no way that he takes that meeting at the White House. And in fact, he kind of intimated as much as, it's too late. We're past that point.
I don't think we're past the point of negotiations, but I agree with you that the possibility of a White House meeting is almost completely off the table. But having Steve Witkoff, his negotiator in the region, engage with the Iranians, ultimately there's going to have to be some cessation of hostilities at some point. So the likelihood is there's going to be a deal. The real question is what happens before it, what leads to it, and what are the parameters going to be of that deal, and how President Trump strengthens and exercises his leverage is going to have a huge impact on the parameters of that deal.
I don't think that there's any doubt about any of that. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because I think ultimately the biggest leverage is that we do have the 30,000 pound bunker buster that can destroy Fordo. And all we have to do is drop it. And their ambitions are done. The Ayatollahs have no future. If that is what it comes to. Marty Latz of Latz Negotiation, thank you for your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Kevin McCullough.